Wait a second. He had on a t-shirt? I mean, who puts clothes on their dog and then abandons them? Somebody's got to be looking for this guy.
Maximalist minibus with Mary and Captain and you. Get on the bus!
If you stuck around to the end of the last video, you caught a glimpse of this. Where did he come from? Well, I think Captain sent him to me, and that probably sounds nuts to the non-dog people, but then again, probably no non-dog people watching, because why would they watch a video that's obviously about a dog? So I'm going to assume that if you're here, you're at least to some degree a dog person. Unless you just love me so much that you would watch me read the phone book. Don't worry, I'm not going to read the phone book. I started looking at dogs on Pet Finder within a couple days after Captain passed. And I know for some of you that seems strange, but I guess that's how I've always done it. Captain and I found each other on Pet Finder like maybe a month after Cowboy passed, and Cowboy came right after Speck. And I think I've always felt like the best way to honor the dog that you lost is to take that same love and pour it into a new dog. So I was looking on Pet Finder. Nobody jumped off the page, to be honest. Well, there was this one guy, and he was cute. He was in Mexico in a foster there. So I would have had to go to San Diego, where the rescue group was that advertised him. That's where I'd have to go to see him. I'm going to have to drive to California, so that by the time I would actually be meeting him, it would be December. But on November 15th, which was a week after Captain passed, I was in the bus, I was on my way to do laundry, and Brad called. You remember Brad? Say hello, Brad.
Hello, Brad.
And I was telling him about the little Mexico dog that I was planning to go meet in December. But he said, listen, I don't want to butt into your life, but isn't there a dog closer to here that you might like? I mean, there's a lot of dogs looking for homes in Arizona. Which is true. It's one of the worst states for strays. And I said, I've been looking, but I just haven't really found one. But while I was talking to him, I opened the Pet Finders app, and there was this brand new listings. It had literally been on there only for a few hours, I think. And I was like, oh, well, there's this one. His name was Rooster, and there was something about his eyes. You know, his eyes just seemed very curious, I guess that's what I would say. And that made me curious. The Arizona Humane Society were the ones who had listed him, and according to Google Maps, their shelter was like an hour and a half from where I was. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. Maybe I'll go tomorrow to meet him. Meeting him would be like dipping a toe in the water, because, you know, I'm not sure I'm ready. I can just meet him. I don't have to commit right away, but right now I'm going to do my laundry. But at the same time, I knew that the Humane Society sometimes puts dogs into foster situations, so I wanted to make sure that if I was going to drive an hour and a half, they would actually be there. So I called up, and the lady on the phone told me that, oh, he's not actually here. He's at a shelter that we have in the PetSmart store in Scottsdale, which was 15 minutes from where I was sitting. All of a sudden, my laundry just didn't seem so important anymore, and I found myself driving toward PetSmart. But at the same time, I'm telling myself, oh, I'm not going to take him right away. Even if I like him, I'm not going to take him because I just lost Captain, and Captain was perfect for me. And I was terrified of making the wrong decision, you know, just out of heartache, like a rebound. Because, you know, once you pick a dog, you're stuck with him. And having already had perfect with Captain, how do you go from there? So as I was driving, I kept coming up with all these reasons that it wasn't going to work out. Like, oh, his name is Rooster, so they probably named him that because he has this blood-curdling screech of a bark. And, oh, he's 9 pounds. Captain was only 7, so maybe 9 pounds is too big. It's probably not going to work. So I got there to PetSmart, and I went into the little adoption center, and I told the volunteer that I wanted to meet Rooster, but I also told him I'm not going to adopt him today. I just lost my Captain, and I need at least a night to think things through. And I guess I kept going on and on because he just kind of kept nodding, and he had this TMI expression on his face. And finally, the guy says, okay, no pressure. Do what you got to do. I'm going to go get him, and you can meet him. But then while I was waiting for the guy to bring Rooster up front to the room where we were going to meet, a couple came in behind me, and they said, hi, we're here to see Rooster. And a few minutes later, somebody else walked in and said the exact same thing. So much for no pressure. So when the guy finally brought me back to the room, he said, listen, I know you wanted to take time to think about it, but you have 10 minutes. If you want him, he's yours. If you can't commit in 10 minutes, that is fine, but I have to let these other people in, and whoever commits first is going to get him. So I walk into the pen, and here's this petrified, funny-looking little guy. Huge ears, curly tail like a piglet. He's lost fur on his belly and his chest, and it looks like he's lost some fur around his eyes, too. Do you like that? So I offered him a little treat, and then he looked in my eyes for a couple of seconds, and then he just crawled up here onto my chest and kiss me on the nose. And that probably doesn't seem like a big thing because dogs do that kind of thing, you know, but that's exactly what Captain did when we met. He kissed me right on the nose. So I felt like Captain had said to him, hey, if you want her to pick you, kiss her on the nose. So of course I said, I'll take him. Then they gave me this packet of information about him, and in it was his intake picture. And that threw me for a loop because in the picture he had on a collar and he also had on a little dog t-shirt. So I was like, wait a second. He had on a t-shirt? I mean, who puts clothes on their dog and then abandons them? Somebody's got to be looking for this guy. The Humane Society volunteer told me, well, they had him scanned. He had no chip. He wasn't neutered. And he said that they'd listed him on a whole bunch of lost pet websites and nobody came for him. But the law in Arizona is if the dog is not microchipped, the owner has only 3 days to find him, which I think is incredibly short. So how do you know someone isn't out there looking for him? I felt like I was stealing somebody's baby, you know? I just kept thinking, what if this was Captain? I mean, I know I would turn over every rock, and Captain, of course, was microchipped, but not everybody knows about microchipping, and not everybody knows where to look, and that doesn't mean they don't love their dog. But then the volunteer told me, it's not like he's going to go back to those people who had him before if you don't take him. He's going to the next in line. So I took him. When they brought him out to hand him over, he wagged and wagged and wagged and wagged his little tail like he was seeing a long-lost friend. On the way home, I decided to call him Ryder, and he answered to that the very first time I called him that.
It doesn't matter what we see. It doesn't matter what we need, 'cause we're free, we're free, we're free.
Even though he had to wear a cone for a while, he started adjusting right away to nomad life.
It doesn't matter what we do. It doesn't matter what we get into, 'cause it's you, it's you, it's you.
He was totally bonded with me pretty much instantly. At Christine's suggestion, I took chicken out of his diet and his fur started growing back right away. I never knew dogs could be allergic to chicken. Things were going pretty great for Mr. Ryder. But I couldn't get it out of my head, this idea that he wasn't mine to keep. I think I looked at every Phoenix lost pet site, every Facebook group, and I never found any dog that looked even a little bit like him. I finally gave up. Maybe somebody is missing him, but the way he's attached himself to me, I don't think he's missing them.
You know, they should, what video should they watch? Show them what video they're supposed to
It
watch.
doesn't matter
Show them the video.
where we go.
Show them the video.
It doesn't matter
Well,
if
they're
it's
supposed
fast
to
or if it's slow.
Show them the
'Cause I
video
know,
they're supposed to watch.
I
It's
know,
right there. I don't know where it is. I'll see you next time.